Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this short mini webinar of Classtime's Facebook community. Today, I have a special edition of the Q&A that we're setting up because we had a international community call last week, and a lot of applicants for the webinar asked us open questions that we would like to address today that we couldn't address fully in that last call. Let's kick it off. So the first question was from Stephanie from Germany. And she asked us, what's the difference in using our team challenges during normal teaching situations and also in times of distance learning, right? And so for people that don't know about this, we do have various mini games that you can launch and have your whole classroom work together. And so many of those are puzzles or are like animations where the class has to work together as one big team to succeed and make sure that everyone participates and everyone, does their best to make sure that the common goal is achieved, which again could be like engineering a jungle roller coaster or fighting city pollution, or unveiling pieces of a puzzle, right? As the correct answers come in from the class. And so, usually, or not usually, always, you will have to do this in real time and project this to the classroom wall, like in this little image here. Or in the case of distance learning, you can screen share it and make sure that your students can participate via video conferencing. But there is a special type of team challenge, which is our endangered species one, where teams are automatically generated by our system to make sure that we have sub-teams that all have to try to protect their own species. And so in a classroom setting, kids can obviously find each other and sit together and work together. This, in terms of distance learning, is more difficult to achieve. So kids will know in which team they are, but there is, the fundamental difference in distance learning that it's harder for them to communicate with each other during a time of distance learning. One idea we have is that you could, for example, before showing any questions, you could, for example, start the game so that everyone is already assigned to a team, and then you activate the questions only after the students have arranged themselves online, either in like sub chats or whatever platforms you use. But obviously, it's a big difference to having the kids in the same classroom collaborating in sub teams. Good. Next question was from Sharika from Pakistan, and she asked, can students use Classtime to make presentations online? So students use Classtime all the time. They just register as a teacher, right? And they're free to create any questions they want themselves and share it with their peers, their students, right? What is different is that you can't create, or it's harder to create an entire presentation based on Classtime, right? So the way you would use it is maybe you have a presentation on Google Slides or Microsoft PowerPoint, right? And then you can combine it with a Classtime link to engage your audience, so to say, right? Your peers, by having them participate in a session of Classtime. Third question, Ralph from Switzerland. Is Classtime better suited for formative or for summative assessment, or can it be used for both? So formative assessment obviously measures the learning progress as you're learning, right? And summative assessment is usually looking back and measuring it against some sort of time period, a benchmark, right? And has usually some sort of point value or grade, which is often then an exam, right? Like a midterm exam. So these are the fundamental differences. And the short answer is yes, absolutely. Teachers use Classtime for both, right? So you can use Classtime with smaller question sets throughout the lessons. You can differentiate. You can have students work on different sessions because you can start as many sessions as you want in parallel, right? And you can modify them. And you can always have students also work on it themselves or in a real-time setting for the formative learning experience. But at the same time, you can also set up and schedule and shuffle questions and set up a specific graded Classtime session as a summative assessment. So here, this has all 1 point, right? But we can also then change this and say like, okay, this question sorry, I'm blocking myself here, is a 5-point question, right? And then with this, we can create different types of tests that once we run then our assessment, you can adjust the settings as you need it, like shuffle is usually recommended. You wouldn't want to show solutions immediately, right? Maybe you want to allow only one attempt. You can do a timer and say 30 minutes, and then when it starts, right? And you could set this up exactly and let the students then participate in the summative assessment. And as the answers come in, you'll see all the points automatically calculated, and of course then all the reports available to give feedback on the summative assessment. But if you use it live as formative or asynchronously, that's completely up to you. Both work. Good. Next question is from Esther from Spain. How do English or foreign language teachers use Classtime? That's a very good question, and creativity is the limit. We are constantly surprised by what teachers come up with, but let me give you an idea of what you could do, right? So, I'm going to go into our library and I'm going to use our search now to look for various English content. So you could do like English vocabulary, right? For example, and so you see different ones. Maybe, you have here like a close one where you then just see a text, I guess, here with gaps, and then students would have to answer different questions, right? Free text, check boxes, or matching correct words. I'm also aware of like reading comprehension is pretty big, right? So you have different text stories you can find where you can then have students read through a text and then answer the questions, and then also that's pretty popular with English learners is like highlight text where you have different elements like words, sentences, or paragraphs that kids need to click on and identify like a mistake or what's the main idea in that text. So there are various ways of how teachers use it. And I strongly suggest to check out our free library and just search for reading, English, whatever you would like to do. And of course, and I'll also say this ahead of time, one of the big requests for language teachers are things like audio files, like listening comprehension. That is something we don't support directly today. You can always add a link in the description to an audio file. You can always include a YouTube video that has, a story, a narrative where they have to listen. But we are looking at the option of uploading audio files so that you can also have students listen and then answer with any question type. Good. I have one more minute. I'll fit that in. Anna from California asked, how do I assign classwork to students and get their data after? So this is the basic Classtime flow, right? So you go to your library and then either you find content as I have right now in the free library, or you create your own from scratch. That is absolutely possible. Or you do a mixture, you find and then you edit. And once you know what you want to ask, you can then, double check, make sure that this is what you want to ask, and then you do start new session. And then the way you would do it is that you have up here a code. And so I can zoom in on this. So students can go to classtime.com, for example, right? Let's do that. Oops, I copied the wrong one. Here we go. We can go on classtime.com and then students. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Here we go. And they can enter the code here and join. Or you can, as I have here, a QR code that you can scan on a smartphone if you're doing like a screen sharing or a projection. And then finally, you can also just click on this link and then it copies a link. And so when I open a new tab now, the link is already pasted and I can join, which is the same that I will see when I enter this code. So there are different ways of having students join, right? They can enter with a temporary nickname or one of the authenticated accounts. It does not matter. And then what you will see is when all your students join, the data will automatically be gathered as they answer the questions and join. So you can measure participation and you can also measure their learning progress in a formative or summative way. That is up to you. And also looking forward in terms of upcoming developments, we are working on a feature that's called classes. You'll be able to set up your groups of students, and then you'll get a third option here which says invite class. And when you click on that, they will get an email with the join link, but they can also join as I've shown you. And then you'll be able to really track your entire fixed group of students who will then also be able to go into our student portal, which is currently also in pre-launch, where they can then go back and look at historic data. So these are the kind of things that you can expect in the next 2 months, max. So I think that's it for the time today. I thank you for all the questions. I encourage you to send us more questions either in the comments below or send us a message, an email, a live chat, or in any other way that you would like to communicate with us, and we'll do our best to answer them as soon as possible. So thanks again for your time and attention, and talk to you next week.